Invincible.
Yes, we got Invincible season 2, episode 1.
Yeah, we're back. We are so back. I
So
used to
much
pray for
happened
times
this
like
week.
these.
Yeah.
Now I called that most of the stuff we saw in that trailer was going to happen in episode 1.
You did.
I called that they were trying to bait us with maybe a bit of an evil Mark
Yes.
character arc, and in fact, it was one of the multiversal Marks where he agreed with his dad.
Yep.
I promise I haven't read ahead in the comics. I'm just smart. And I think it was so good to be back.
Mm.
So good to be back. It felt just. Seeing that start of Invincible and Immortus fighting.
Yes. And you think, hang on a second, because they were so smart with it, because we know at the end, Immortal or whatever got repaired,
reanimated.
yeah, and who's gonna come back. And it's like suddenly we see him and Mark fighting, and you think, fucking hell, Immortal's back out of being in thing, and he thinks Mark's evil.
Yeah, he's like, I don't trust Omni-Man's son. I'm gonna go deal with this.
Yeah, and we think, oh shit, he's now like, he doesn't trust Mark, and we're like, well, but Mark's a good guy. Then
Hey, it's Mark. He's a good guy.
and then it's like Mark's like, I've taken harder punches than this. And then it's sort of like comes to light that, oh shit, no, he teamed with his dad.
Yeah. The way his dad comes in with a fucking chop on the arm.
Well, yeah, it's like Mark starts like throwing in kicks and punches and like more moves, and then Immortal just grabs him by the throat, and you think, shit, and then boom, arm gone. and
then obviously we get the head chop again. How are you going to fall flat trick twice?
Well, he might not have fallen for it in that planet yet.
I really enjoyed the caving his skull in.
Yeah.
And just going immortal your way out of that.
Yeah. Immortal your way out of that. And then we get the city that's like derelict.
We get the first of many phenomenal title card baits.
Yes.
So obviously in season 1, I don't think we've like basically ever hear anyone say the word Invincible.
They don't.
Every time someone goes to say it, it cuts to the title card. And they bait it like 4 or 5 times.
So many times. And I'm like, okay, this time, and I'm like, okay, they're just not going to do it anymore. That's their new thing. They're just not going to do it.
And he's like, and in case you've forgotten, you can't stop me because I'm, and they do the pause as well.
Yeah.
I'm invincible.
Yeah.
And then the video loop just starts again. And we're following a man throughout the city, who we later find out is, I forget his name already, Avery Langston.
Yeah, that's correct.
Who goes down into some kind of little rebellion group.
Yeah.
And then Mark and his dad crash the party and just start causing chaos.
Also to note, the rebellion group has an Atom Eve.
Yeah, and
with a shaved head and a robot. And I think obviously at this point we know this is a different universe.
Yeah.
But to then have like Atom Eve's there, but she's got a shaven head and like a jacket on, looking a bit more
rugged.
Yeah. You got Robot, who's not looking quite the same.
Yeah, he's in this universe. He clearly hasn't managed to create his new body, so he's still his little alien goop thing.
But his alien little goop thing's got his own little body, walks around like robot legs. And then Mark and that crash the party. They eviscerate. Omni-Man destroys the robot.
Yeah. In a really brutal way as well, because clearly that fluid is what keeps him alive.
Yeah.
And he just fucking leaves it to drain, which I assume essentially is just letting him suffocate.
Yeah.
Which is just brutal. And then I think the most unhinged thing I could have even, bearing in mind like how likable Mark is, to see the exact same voice actor and the exact same character design, goading Eve and being so just horrific and like pure evil. And just like, I can't kill you, I would never kill you, just fucking paralyzes her.
Well, yeah,
instead.
It's like they're fighting, and obviously he catches up to Atom Eve, and like it looks like he's just snapped a neck, and you're like, well, shit. And then his dad goes, oh, I know that was hard. And he's like, oh, it's fine. She's not dead. I've just paralyzed her. I'll visit her. I've got people who can look after her. And it's like, that's so evil to do that to someone. And it's
That
like,
is
and then just,
that is a whole other level of
and like,
insanity.
keep them alive so you can visit them and still be friends, even though they probably hate what you have become now. And then his
Yeah.
dad's like, oh, I wondered what you were practicing on those people. And it's like,
Yeah, on the protesters the
how
other
many,
week.
how many times did Mark practice it and just snap their neck and kill him?
Like unhinged.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
and then we see the
well,
multiverse.
they go to start killing the civilians who are
Yes,
part of the um
rebellion.
rebellion. And he's like, sadly, we're gonna have to kill all of you. But remember, you did this to yourselves because you rebelled. And
Yeah,
then as they go to kill the guy, he drops down through the portal, and Mark goes, "The hell was that?" And Omni Man just doesn't give a fuck. He's like, who cares? There's still more to kill. Come on,
yeah.
I'm late for lunch. I'm hungry."
Well, we know like Omni Man went through portals into other planets and doesn't really get like it's not like it doesn't to him as a
Not
Viltrumite
a
who's
big
gone to
thing.
like he's like oh whatever. One
It's
person running
one
away.
human. What's the problem? Yeah, we'll deal with it later.
Little does he know.
Yeah. Um, and that's then when we get to cut back to our universe,
Yes.
and we get to see Mark as we remember him.
Yep.
He kind of just, he clearly feels bad. He's clearly very upset, and he's just flying around, kind of doing like the
Secretly.
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man kind of thing.
Yes. Like secretly,
Just like,
like helping people in such a way that he's so quick. They're like, "What just happened?" And he's already gone.
yeah. And then we get a bit more of an insight into his psyche when we see like actual villains doing something, and he
Hmm.
starts to get angry. He gets a little bit of a flashback to what happened in Chicago, and he's like, "No, I'll let the professionals handle that. I'm the problem. I caused all them people to die, so I shouldn't get involved in that. I should just do little things to help."
Yes.
Um, then I mean, most of the episode is centered around this kind of idea of Mark doesn't really, he hasn't coped. He doesn't know how
Yeah.
to cope, which
He,
is fair.
yeah. He doesn't know. Like he's feels guilt for the damage and the people that got killed. He also is like somewhat fearful that like he knows his dad just flew away, and it's like, what if he comes back? Probably also knowing I'm not in a position to even stop him if he comes back.
Yeah, I'm lucky he didn't kill me the last time.
Yeah. Um, and then also just like dealing with the fact that he's expected to get on with his life.
Yeah. Um,
Like nothing's happened.
it is interesting though how he kind of realizes pretty quickly that he needs to get back out there and helping people,
Hmm.
to the point where he's like begging Cecil. He's like, "Just give me a
Yeah,
job.
get me
I
back out
need to
there.
get back out there and prove to myself that I am not my dad."
To which
And
he's
it's
like,
interesting.
you need
I
time.
thought Cecil was going to be more of an antagonist, whereas Cecil actually came across it in a very caring way towards Mark, where he was like, "Mark, I do actually trust you, but you don't trust yourself right now, and I can't risk that going wrong in the field."
I think
Whereas I
it,
thought it was going to be more like, "No, your dad pulled the wool over all our eyes, and he was a massive prick. I'm not trusting you."
see, yeah, I think I was expecting him to be maybe a bit more brutal and like, well, now we know what you and your dad are, like there's levels you're gonna have to get through before like that trust is there again. But I think it's a mix of he does actually care because he sees that probably from the fact that Omni Man tricked him, he understands like he also tricked Mark. Like he is feeling the same thing about this, but like what's gone down in a way. But also a little there is some untrust there in the sense of he's just witnessed what happens if a Viltrumite goes rogue, essentially. And he's like, you know what? No, I'm not playing along. Mark could do that.
Yeah, he absolutely could.
And I think there's that slight level of like, not necessarily untrust that Mark would, but like untrust if Mark can control himself enough
And
or
I
have
think
like
that's
a
where it
mental
actually comes
break.
from. I don't think he's like I think Mark would do it because I think
Mm.
Tesla is smart enough to go. If him and his dad were the same, the
He
two
w-
of them would have just
yeah,
decimated the
he
world.
would have joined him straight away.
But if he's not stable,
Mm.
we don't need that going wrong at the wrong time.
Yeah, or like
Um,
him, like we've seen in many superhero things, like where someone's so emotional they don't know when to stop, sort of thing.
yes, exactly.
That issue.
And then we see the new Guardians of the Globe being shit at their job and really
Yeah.
struggling. We see Robot now in his new body and actually in the action, really like struggling emotionally with it. He's not thinking clearly. He's making poor decisions. He's getting scared.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like Monster Girl said, before for you it was like a video game. Now you're actually here. You'll get
Mm-hmm.
used to it. And there's definitely some very interesting storylines being set up.
Yes, there is.
The episode obviously ends with Mark getting accepted into college with
Yes.
his girlfriend. After he returns from a battle with the Mauler twins.
Yeah, so he ends up like there's a bit of a so obviously Multiverse guy goes and gets the Mauler twins out.
Yes.
Something to note, I picked up on with his portals, and they obviously also mention it. Like you can obviously not portal in the same universe.
Oh yeah, they set his character's rules up
Yeah.
very quickly.
You have to. You can only do the position of the portal has to mirror exactly. Which is like why he found a world with a huge crater, so he could go down to the bottom and actually put a portal where it needs to be. Got the twins out, has this idea to like, I will just gather all the brains of me and shove them in my head.
Yeah, and it's a philanthropic endeavor because his plan is all these people have the knowledge of their worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I get all that knowledge. I know what world has the cure for cancer, what
Mm-hmm.
world worked out the best form of democracy and the best form of currency and the best form of making sure everyone can eat. And I get the best bits from every world and I create a utopia. And then once we've created that utopia, we spread it to every other world.
Yes.
Does that sound familiar to you? It's what the Viltrumites are doing.
Yep. Yep.
Granted, in a very different way. And it's like a polar opposite way. He's doing it through gathering knowledge and being a pacifist, whereas the Viltrumites do it by the strong survive. We'll make sure only the strongest of us survive, and then that will create a utopia, and we will force that utopia on everyone else. But they are the exact same idea. It's two sides of the same coin.
Oh yeah. And I thought it was very funny though, because it's like obviously he's setting up this idea like I want to gather people, like I can go round and I can collect all this information. And the twins are like, oh, that's cool. So, and then he just he's like, look, and he opens the door and there's just many of him already, and you're like,
many men.
oh shit, he's already like gathered several versions of himself. And yeah, their plan is they build him once again. The twins are building someone else a machine.
I really enjoy the Mauler twins' reaction to this information, though. They're like, "Why don't you just talk to them?"
Yeah.
Why don't you just ask them questions? Why are you doing this in such an unnecessary and complicated way?
Yeah, why are you putting your own life at risk? Just learn.
Yeah, I enjoy the Mauler twins as an antagonist because they're a good like secondary antagonist because they are physically dangerous, but they're also very intelligent. I love the constant jokes of when one of them's a bit ditzy, the other one's just like, and that's why you're the clone.
Yeah. But yeah, that's obviously then all that's going on. And we learn through that actually Mark being good is a rare occurrence.
Yes.
And this is one of the rare universes where he didn't team up with Omni-Man. Thinking, oh, that makes it less likely shit will go wrong here. We can do it here. Obviously then building a giant machine like that draws attention. Mark is asked, here's your chance.
Well, yeah, Mark turns up and he's like, I will do whatever you want. I won't even think for myself. You tell me what I need to do. I just need to help. I need to feel useful. And Cecil doesn't want to, but then the situation gets worse and the Guardians haven't responded yet. So he's like, fuck it, you're up, kid.
Yeah, you're up. Go in there and deal with this. And then he's like, okay, loads of people, Mauler twins. Mauler twins have been bad. These people must be trapped here against their will.
Yes.
Fight Mauler twins.
And like
Uh,
the main time hopper, space hopper, universe
mm,
hopper, it's kind of like, no, Invincible. Wait, listen, they're helping me. This is going to be good. Promise. Just sit
yeah,
still.
but obviously wants to prove himself and do like Cecil's called on him, so he's got to do. But then we get like a bunch of Mauler twins in different situations, like half robot, some look mutated. There was a
Yeah,
female one,
yeah,
and they all just start fighting him. Like
yes,
he's severely
absolutely
outnumbered.
wailing on him.
Yes.
Um, the interesting thing is though, he's still trying to hold on to this pacifist ideal, Mister Multiverse Man,
Yes, he
and
is.
that's where the problem actually comes from. Because Invincible is very good at setting up their rules. So they
Hmm.
say, well, before this becomes a problem, once you start, you can't stop. That's what
Yes.
makes it dangerous. You
Yep.
sit there, it'll be uncomfortable, you'll probably be fine as long as you don't try and stop it.
Yep.
And because all of your memories are going to be so similar, just focus on your memory so you know which ones are actually yours.
Yep.
Cool. Um, but then what happens, of course, he brings in all these Mauler twins. They want to kill the hero because they are villains.
Yep.
He doesn't want to see a hero die because he still thinks he's a pacifist,
Yep.
and he makes the fatal mistake of taking off the helmet.
Yep.
At
Midway
which
through the
point, yeah,
things
at
go
which
boom.
point everything go boom.
Yep.
And Mark is again in that situation where he's just watched everyone fucking die around him, and he was helpless to do anything to stop it.
Yes. And then feels like he's just caused all those innocent people to him get killed when in fact they were maybe a little bit bad to be doing that.
Yeah. Well, he
Um,
viewed the people on the machine as innocent because he was like, oh, they're probably trapped here.
yeah.
And
Not
Cecil's
knowing
of
that.
the opinion
Yeah.
that everyone there has done this on themselves. This is a win today. It might not feel
Yeah.
like it, but this isn't a bad result. You've done okay. We also get baited once again with the Invincible at this point
Yes, we do.
because Rex is like, holy shit, maybe he actually is invincible,
Yeah, this is like
which
the
I really
third
enjoyed.
time. And
Yeah.
I think this was the point where I'm like, oh, they're just going to do the opposite this season, where
Yeah.
they just never title card it.
It was one of them things in the first season that people were really enjoying it as like it's quite a unique thing to do.
Yeah.
So the baiting it every time in episode 1 was genius.
It'll be interesting to
Um,
see if it goes back to normal or if they
yeah,
keep
I
doing it this
imagine
way.
it will. So then we've cracked on. He's gone back home, beaten up face. He chats with his mum about life. He finds out he's going
Mhm.
to university. He goes to take the rubbish out
Mm.
again, parallel to episode 1 when he found out about his powers. At
Yes.
his job, he was taking rubbish out and accidentally threw it into space.
Yeah.
And he once again, while taking the rubbish out, gets a massive bit of information. And Mortis does not trust him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to keep a very close eye on you,
Yeah.
which again is a parallel to the parallel universe.
Yeah. And something that we missed mentioning, like, yeah, Mortis got brought in with a couple other heroes to take
Yes,
over
the
the
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Bulletproof, who I have heard apparently is a very exciting character, even though I don't know
Okay.
that much about them. And a Mortis have been brought in to fix the Guardians of the Globe.
Yes. Um,
Um,
but yeah, and then we get the reveal at the end. One of the Mortis twins survived,
One
half
of the Mauler
melted.
twins did survive, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely obliterated half his body. We
But
find out Multiverse Man survived as well, and his
but
brain is kind of everywhere.
massive.
But
And
because he couldn't focus on his memories, he's got like big brain confusion.
yeah, and he's focused on must destroy Mark
Yeah,
because
because so many of his memories are now Mark killing everyone he knows.
yes.
And that's when we finally get the title card.
Yes, it is right at the end.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes to destroy, and then it cuts to Invincible, and it's interesting. So in season 1, every title card had a bit more of a blood splatter on it.
Yes.
Yeah, which ended up foreshadowing Mark getting the ever-loving shit beat out of him by his father.
Yep.
Now,
Okay.
this one started with it going from the blood splatter style into a red and black one with a crack in it, which showed a bit of blue.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that is teasing Mark's alternate color suit I told you about.
Oh.
Yeah. So I know, I know,
Yeah.
I've told you about comic book Twitter always enjoying the debates, like
Yeah.
this version of this character versus this version of this character. I
Mhm.
think that might be foreshadowing that suit.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool.
One more thing I will say: after this episode,
Mm.
the things Mark is struggling with, and the start of the episode being a parallel universe, we are getting that Spider-Man crossover. 100%.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Like what I said to you, of Mark's gonna need an interaction with Spider-Man to like realize what it takes to be a hero
Mm.
and like get over his issues. They've
Mhm.
set it up perfectly in the first episode. The notion that it all gets a little bit worse and Mark feels more like he's drowning underwater, and then while fighting the multiverse man who's clearly angry at him, he gets stranded in the Marvel universe, and Spider-Man's just like, with great power comes great responsibility, and Mark's like, well, that's dumb. Of course that it does.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here for it.
Do you
It's
know
gonna
what?
happen.
Obviously, like I've just thought of something else. Now we know it's multiverse stuff, and there's like different versions. Obviously, the Spider-Man thing would be very cool. What if something we've now seen as a little trend is Lego versions in multiverse
Lego
things?
Invincible.
Imagine we get like a thing he ends up in a Lego world for like what, like just a brief moment,
I'd be down. I would. I would.
just to kind of play into the whole multiverse always has a Lego version.
Yeah. And of course, we didn't get any answers towards the question of where's Omni Man gone. So it'll be
No,
interesting to see how that goes.
no Omni Man, nothing on Adam the alien.
No.
Nothing on, and also we don't know like where this is now going with multiverse guy.
Yeah.
Like,
He's dipped into another universe, as we know, based on the rules that were established about his powers.
mm-hmm.
And he's determined to destroy Invincible.
Yeah.
Is he
So
going to go from universe to universe attacking Invincible? And after he gets a bit of experience defeating Invincibles, he's going to arrive back in our universe?
maybe, or is it like he's gonna go to universes to try and beat him, learn something, has to dip out, but like each time he's learning actually how to defeat
Yeah.
him, and then it's our Mark that he chooses to try and beat because Omni Man's not there, and he's like, wait, that's the one time that I'd be able to beat him, is there's no Omni Man interfering, possibly.
It's going to be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
That is for sure. And I cannot wait for the rest of the series. I already don't want it to end.
It's gonna be good. It is gonna be good.